HR was my first career, and I actually started out with recruiting. So my heart goes out to everyone who works in the talent acquisition function. A lot of organizations have implemented different technologies throughout the HR function, human resources. And as a result, I think that was the best practice, but they didn't look at what are some of the downsides. And some of the downsides are applications are being put into human resource information systems. There's not that human touch. So many applications are coming in because the ads are going to a greater audience that the recruiters can't keep up with the volume. As a result, the system picks out the people that should go on. Unfortunately, the system only picks up what you put in it. So some good people get lost in the system. And then there are also concerns from some of the applicants that the recruiting function doesn't get back to them. Again, I think it's the volume of work with there being so many positions open and that there's only so many recruiters. And one of the people suggested that we need more of a human touch, but at different parts of the function. So at each milestone of the recruiting process, a human person should reach out and follow up with the candidates and let them know what's going on. So I think that's a good opportunity for entrepreneurs to start businesses to help applicants find out what are key words, how do we get into the heads of recruiters, hiring managers, what makes sense for the world of work today, and how do we shift in an interview? For example, if they're discussing one particular area, how do you bring up other things that may be of interest to you? When we look at HR, even though we have implemented technology, I still believe that the HR function is still overextended. As a result, when you have individual functions such as recruiting or retention, people tend to be focused on that one particular area. If I were to say what type of training HR professionals could undertake, it would be more, what is the big picture? Because things are growing in HR so drastically, there is a move to move more towards being a specialist, but I like that feel of being a generalist. Jack of all trades, master of none, but just to have a little bit of exposure to all of the functions as well as what the line functions are in the organization. Pretty much what they call a human resource business partner. You have to understand all of the line functions to know what type of people you really need to recruit. I think we have to work more towards not just worrying about what our systems are, what our hiring managers want, but we also have to look at the potential candidates. What do they want? Would this be a good relationship? And does it make sense at this particular time? Sometimes we interview people and it's not the right time, but come a year later, they may be a perfect fit. I believe the next milestone for online universities is that we can take the lead on this particular topic of workforce readiness. My personal opinion is that we have to look at this as a two-pronged approach. There are two types of education. A lot of individuals are being very passionate about we should prepare our students for the workforce. I'm not in total agreement with that. And one of the reasons that I believe that we should not just focus on what they can do in a particular job is because technology is causing things to shift very drastically. If a student were to come in to a program in 2018 and it takes them about 5 years or 4 years to complete the degree, in 4 years it's going to be something different. Therefore, if we just focus on one particular thing, we're going to have people who are still not ready for the workforce. What I would like to propose is that online universities, like any other university, can look at this as we have what we need for the workplace and what we need to help students to be able to adapt and change. And I think that will still come from the flagship and the traditional programs. And by that, I mean the private industry is calling soft skills. And that is the way people think, critical thinking, problem solving, just how do you react to different situations, collaborations, and they're going to learn that from looking at the big picture. And that comes from in my opinion, your traditional programs. I believe the university as a whole is in a good position right now in the sense that all the program directors have united and we're looking at what we're doing and how we fit into the big scheme of plans. Not only are we looking at opportunities of how we can work together in a disciplinary courses and programs, but we're also looking out to industry, the public sector, private corporations, the military, to see what they need. And when we look at what they need, we look at how can we best suit them. For example, I oversee the management programs, and after speaking with our industry advisory experts, we coined a term, the leadership school of choice. There are so many business schools out there and plans. What makes us different? What makes our university as being the successful program that students should go through? And some of the things that we are looking at and very excited and have started to implement are programs that encourage collaboration, teamwork, critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and just getting in there to figure out what works not only in my particular industry, but what happens in organizations in other parts of the country that I may not know about. How does that fit in? And so what we're seeing is students that are very excited about having creative learning experiences. It's no longer the instructor will lecture you. One of the things that we're very excited about this year is we revamped our end of program course, and that's usually the course that employers are most interested in because they're basically saying, you spent all this time in school, what have you learned and how can you apply it to our organization needs immediately? And some of the concern has been from, okay, we see that you've gone from just basically textbooks to simulations, but sometimes that is still from an academic perspective. So our portfolio, what we're hoping that it will do is to help students take what they have learned, apply it to a real life situation, and work with professionals to say, this is what people in our field are looking for. It's almost like a document that's like a certification. It verifies and confirms what you have done and that you're able to transition what you've learned into the workforce. And students are excited about it. We've involved other departments such as career services to help our students with branding themselves as well as preparing their resumes or any documents that they're going to further their education. And I think that's going to make our graduates a step ahead of maybe some other program that just prepared them from an academic perspective or just on the content. That we're producing well-rounded leaders. And by that word leader, I don't mean just in the managerial positions, but that they can go into any particular department and be seen as a leader for that particular function. In order to learn more about our management programs, visit us online.